Hello, hello. Okay, this is by far the most exciting panel of the whole conference. So welcome to Gaming and Web3 Collide, everyone.
We need some excitement today, guys.
Woo! Yes. So these guys are pretty exciting, right? These are some of the biggest kind of gamer conversationalists, developers, investors. I mean, we have kind of the range here. So I'm going to let these guys introduce themselves for 30 seconds tops, starting with Paul at the end.
So, hi guys, I'm Paul Dawalibi, more commonly known as the prophet of esports.
Let's go!
I host a podcast called The Business of Esports. I also own a media company, gaming and metaverse media company, so we produce a ton of content, including the Meta Business podcast. And for the last 20 years, I was also a VC, so that's my background, venture capital and startups.
All right.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Greg Landegger. I am a family office investor. We are stage and structure agnostic, fell down the rabbit hole in crypto in 2014 and evolved that investment thesis into gaming in 2017, and subsequently have made about 60 investments in the Web3 space.
Very nice, very nice. Hello, my name is Jace Hall. I am video gamer. My company I've co-founded with Rick Fox and a few other fine gentlemen called HiDef, focused on AAA video game development that includes diversity and inclusion as a form of new ideas. We are very focused on making sure that the products that we build are forward-thinking when it comes to things like Web3. My background is founding Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment. Prior to that, I founded a company called Monolith Productions, which I'll make video games. So I'm a video game maker. That's what I do. So.
Yeah.
An opinion haver. My name is Clinton Sparks. I'm a Grammy-nominated multi-platinum producer, songwriter, and DJ. Sold over 75 million records. That has been shaping and shifting culture for almost 20 years now. And I fell into gaming about 6 years ago at the beginning of a company called FaZe Clan, where there were just a bunch of popular kids online but didn't have any business model or revenue streams. Went there, helped bring that to what's now evaluated at $1 billion company. And my goal when I got into gaming was to connect and integrate other cultures that were not familiar with gaming, because it's kind of what I've been doing my whole career, is mixing EDM with hip hop or bringing Hollywood to the streets. And so when I got to gaming, I started connecting music and sports and fashion and art, and it's now becoming really robust. I've since left FaZe Clan and started this company right here, XSET, which is now the fastest growing esports and gaming lifestyle brand in the world with a focus on diversity and inclusion.
All right, so
Nice.
that's amazing. So you guys have been in gaming for quite some time, right? And today we're talking about gaming and Web3. So I think it's most fitting to start to talk about the evolution of gaming, what you've seen. And I think historically you've seen that gaming's been able to incorporate money and earning and everything like that. Where are we coming from when it comes to the gaming industry? I'll let you go, Paul.
I don't know if a lot has evolved. I mean, I've been a gamer since I was like 3 years old, and other than grinding like World of Warcraft in my basement, I think what has changed in the last 3 to 5 years is the mainstream recognition and adoption of the industry. The fundamentals haven't really changed. What has changed are the demographic dynamics. So the kids who grew up gaming now have money to spend on gaming, and this is only accelerating. So you have this huge attention and demographic shift that makes sort of the dominance of gaming inevitable. That's one of the big sort of trends I've seen over the last 10, 15 years.
I would say that, it's speaking to your point, the cultural acceptance of the activity of playing video games has become more and more relevant, because not only are people playing these games, but they are actually socializing, meeting their friends, and creating entire cultures and subcultures underneath this entire activity. And it starts speaking to forward concepts like metaverses and avatars and ownership of items. And this is why, it's one of the reasons why I'm here, is because the technology involved in blockchain is a facilitator of the continued evolution of the video game environment. And I think it's important that as we collectively, the thought leaders that are all attending this conference, I think it's important for them to understand the gentle and delicate nature of how this industry chooses to approach video gaming as a conduit. We could make some mistakes going in that direction, or we could do some real good and empower people and empower ownership and empower attribution of creative content through gaming. So that's what I say.
Yeah, so that brings an interesting point, because Web3 is all about decentralization. You're owning something yourself. So what are, I guess in your case, Jace, what are some of the considerations anyway, or the implications to that in the gaming industry today? So we kind of come from, these big AAA, gaming conglomerates that have owned everything at this point, and now we're trying to integrate Web3 into it, and that's gonna, in the short term at least, gonna have a really big impact on what they do next. So what are you seeing in that case?
Well, I can go on and on this topic, so I'm gonna try to really limit it to some key points. Number one is the video game industry has evolved to where you have publishers and those that control. They don't want people to own anything. They want to own everything, which is why when you play World of Warcraft for 1,000 hours, you can get that magic axe, but it is breaking their terms of service if you try to sell that to somebody else. That's the nature of that. When you see something like decentralization and ownership coming in with this technology, it starts to pose a very important question of, shouldn't I own that axe? Shouldn't I be able to profit off of owning that axe, right? And so the answer, of course, is the gamers themselves want that, but there's also this long history of the video game industry exploiting their consumer relentlessly, squeezing that orange so hard. So when a publisher today tries to introduce blockchain technology, there's a form of rejection because they view it as more, they're trying to exploit me even more for a game I've already paid so much for. And so you have this industry resistance at the publisher level who, I don't know about this crypto stuff. It's creating a bad vibe amongst our customers. So you have this demand, but you also have some cultural elements in the video game space. And I think the crypto space and that community can do a lot to communicate and bridge that gap and create real opportunities, because most definitely the video game player wants to capitalize on the time they spend in video games. That's entirely just about what Twitch is. I play this game, watch me stream, I'm gonna make money off of me playing the game. I'm trying to play to earn on some level through that. So there's all these third-party things that create that, but there can be a much more direct and exciting opportunity for the people in this room and for the players themselves.
Right. So Greg, then, why is gaming such a big focus today? Like, why is everybody talking about gaming as it relates to Web3? Why is this even a panel or a discussion today?
So I think it's the numbers. I mean, there's 170 million Bitcoin wallets, it's a big number from where we've been a few years ago. But you have 3 billion people who are gaming every day. And when you talk to people, everyone says, oh, that's not me. And then when you're like, well, do you do a crossword puzzle every day? Oh, yeah, I do that on my commute. The numbers add up really quickly. I think part of the problem is, I think gaming's actually behind crypto in the evolution. If you looked at crypto pitches in 2015, 2016, every slide had the word blockchain on it. It's like, we're a blockchain company, invest in us. And that's disappeared. Now companies pitch a problem, they pitch their solution, and if you try and get into it, they'll tell you, we're using a blockchain or how that works. Gaming's in that early stage now. You have all these gaming companies that are saying, oh, we're using a blockchain, so invest in us. And Sam earlier from FTX made the comment about a company he invested in. It's got to be a great game first. I mean, gaming is about games. Paul says all the time, it's about having fun. That's where we've got to start. And then we've got to add on this additional layer of blockchain.
The problem is the world of crypto in some sense. Like, gamers are the most lucrative audience for any crypto company on the planet. Like, literally, there were studies done. 56% of all gamers polled, and there was a large enough sample size polled, said that they would abandon their physical bank account for a crypto wallet. 56%. A huge percentage of gamers are prime crypto customers. The problem is the way the crypto world talks to them and fundamentally doesn't understand. Like, there's no industry failing more spectacularly at reaching gamers than the crypto world, which is maybe the great irony of it all. And happy to get into that, but that's one of the things I see, which is you have this target-rich audience, but this massive failure of how to communicate to them and capture them.
Well, to his point, a lot of reason why that's happening is much like any industry that tries to infiltrate a new audience, especially a younger generation, they do it in an inauthentic way. And so what ends up happening is like some mystery company connects with some popular kids who these kids don't know better. They're like, oh man, they look like they got a lot of money. We can get a bag from them. And then they go out to market and they do some stuff that just is frowned upon or fails or makes people feel like they were used. And then it starts making people frown from it and push away from it. Or like, oh, I'm not falling for that crypto stuff, or I'm not buying those NFTs because it's just the wrong combination. So you got to listen to the right people. You got to pay attention to the messenger, not just the message. And I think that's a lot of the reasons why people get pushback and don't understand. It's kind of like when you listen to your parents when you're young, right? And they give you that, oh, that's cool. And you're like, Dad, you don't know what cool is. But if somebody that you think is cool says that's cool, you got the same information, but you got it from two different people based on your opinion on what you think about them. So it's the right people that need to be talking to the right people to get them to adopt this. When you have people that are, corporate people that don't understand cool, they don't understand culture, they've never done other things to understand how to connect or relate or converse with these people, it's hard for them to convince them like this is the next wave unless they're smart enough or they know someone like Paul that can convince them, here's why it's cool. And a lot of the young people that you're trying to adopt into this world, they don't want to learn. They want the cheat code. They want a shortcut. How do I make a lot of money? How do I do this? So you have to understand how to talk to that audience in a way that they're going to get it, but also be educating them without them realizing they're being educated.
I would say also, to your point, is it's thematically the different industries, the video game players and the, sort of the crypto industry, they have some fundamental differences. One is blockchain is a newer technology. And normally when a new technology comes out, it's looking for its use cases. So what you'll always see are like there's tokens out there and there are all those things, and they create the token and then they try to build the utility around the token. Here's why the token is useful, right? And that's a long road to go, and there are companies doing that, and that's great. But when you're dealing with the video game industry and that audience, they are all about utility. Everything that they're used to, when a feature goes into a game, it's all about the utility of that feature inside of that. So the pitch of blockchain without utility coming over is a harder thing for them to understand and sort of get behind. But also, though, there's a huge opportunity because a lot of these video games already have a whole bunch of environment and utility built into them, and blockchain could just be inserted into what's already there and make it even more powerful and more useful. But that conversation happens less often, and it tends to be more you have gaming companies that are new and they are focusing specifically on making a crypto game or something. And so they're trying to create this all first instead of being able to articulate to the established players, here's a way to integrate this greater utility into something that already has utility. I use the example of Disneyland, right? Disneyland has their whole environment. They have restaurants and stuffed dolls and stuff you can do. So the utility of creating the Disney dollar comes afterward. I'm just going to make a Disney dollar and I can spend it inside of my world. But when you create the Disney dollar first and you don't have the Disneyland, it's a much harder sort of thing. And video games, Fortnite, you name it, those are Disneylands sitting there that aren't leveraging this very forward-thinking technology called blockchain, which has so many different uses. Most people just only think of it as like a currency. But that's just a slice of the opportunity that exists with this tech. I'm a huge supporter of the tech itself. Yeah.
That last minute he said should just be cut out of this video and posted on.
Exactly.
Gamers don't care about the tech. They don't care about the earning. They don't care about the owning. Like, I did the same quest in World of Warcraft 1,000 times over to get a mount that looked like a tiger. I didn't earn anything. I don't own anything. I still did it. And I know tons of people who did it because it was fun.
That's right.
It was fun. And there was enjoyment in doing it. And like trying to shove earn and own and God knows whatever other word you put in between down the throats of gamers, I think is never going to work until you figure out the fun part and until you figure out how to communicate how this underlying technology, which it doesn't matter what it is or what it's called, makes the game more fun, makes the game better in some way, makes the experience for the gamer better. This is the only way I think you reach them, you hook them, no matter what we call it.
And that's the cool part I was saying, making it fun, making it so they don't even know that they're learning. And like when you go to Disney, you don't own any pieces of Disney. You go there to have fun.
Exactly.
But then they create things there.
And that was Greg was saying, though, as an investor, he's looking at the fun. Like, what's the actual game? You know, like it's such a key piece.
Look, I'm older. I grew up with an Atari, but 16-bit graphics is really not fun anymore. You know,
and making a fun game is not easy. Like, Greg and I see these pitch decks all the time for play-to-earn games, right? And it's like, here's our economy and our token and all the great tech, and then we're going to make this game. And then here's like how we're making money, and like it's one slide out of 25 about the game. We're like, wait a second, making a great game is really hard. Huge studios with thousands of developers spending hundreds of millions of dollars over years and years still make games that fail.
Yeah.
And like just making it a blockchain-based game or a play-to-earn game or a play-and-earn game, whatever, doesn't solve the core problem of reaching the masses of gamers.
and if
Yeah,
you
but
look,
then you see kind of the big guys, right, that are trying to incorporate Web3 features, and they're getting a lot of backlash anyway, right? And so there's still that kind of disconnect on the how do you connect side, or are they just ripping me off? Like, I'm just here to play the game, you know?
well, that's it. They see it as a monetization. I mean,
Right.
Bloomberg ran something over the past few days that 70% of gaming companies do not want to issue an NFT or a cryptocurrency.
But
Right.
part of the problem is the communication to the gamers. Like, Ubisoft came out with NFTs in their games with Rainbow Six. And when it failed, the noise I heard from the crypto community was, well, they don't get it. The gamers don't get it. I'm like, well, that's kind of a cop-out, right? Like, maybe we failed at explaining to them why they should, like, love this. And just sort of saying, well, they don't get it is not good enough. I think we could do a lot better.
I just don't think you have to front-face blockchain as some kind of feature. Like if you have a video game and you're going to play World of Warcraft and you get the magic hammer and the game just allows you to put it on your wallet, it just does. Most gamers aren't particularly interested in the compression technology that's being used by the video codec that's putting they don't care. Like they just want to be able to do the thing. And so part of it also is these crypto the excitement of the crypto community to come forward. Like, oh, look at using crypto, and then you want to say it, and you want to advertise it, and you want to do it, and look, we're Rainbow and Six, and we're putting out the NFTs. It's like, I don't care. Just you can actually deliver that message and the functionality and get people using these things and having expectations of ownership, which is a whole thing, because video games today are encouraging user-generated content. That is how they are growing. And now this user-generated content, I think the users want to own, and they want to be able to monetize it in the way that they want to monetize it. What better technology to do that than to figure out how to make use of the blockchain for that, right?
I don't want to gloss over the scale of the opportunity, though, right? Like, there are 1,500 people at this conference, something like that, over these next few days. I mean, I was just at PAX East in Boston, big gaming conference, speaking there. There were 130,000 people at PAX East on one day. It's the biggest conference the city of Boston puts on the whole year. Like, we're not talking about one order of magnitude bigger. We're talking 2 orders of magnitude bigger. And this is what needs to be cracked, I think, for the crypto world. And I will say, tons of game developers there. Very few play-to-earn game developers there. Very few, if any. I don't know if you saw any, but I did.
I think a lot of people talk about, like, it needs to be done. We need to do this. Somebody needs to pay attention. But that's the same way you're saying that put this cart before the horse. It's the same thing of saying you need to do this. You need to learn this. You need to understand it. Instead of saying you need to do that, you got to create things and do things that make them want to understand it, that now make them curious, that without you saying, it's like being told what to do as opposed to like seeing something cool and you're like, oh, I want to go do that. So recently, like a couple weeks ago, we made history by signing a rapper named T Grizzly in GTA server live during a storyline in an XSET building, right? So, and we also made exclusive merch for that drop. So we're all wearing XSET hoodies in the game. We're not saying go buy our hoodie, go do this. It's a cool event that you're like, this is dope. I want one of those too, because they're doing it. So it's almost like influencer marketing, but like subtly and without telling people what to do, just show them what to do or make it in their face that they're like, oh, that's cool. How do you do that? Right. And you got to get people to want to know how without you telling them how.
Yeah, I think we're hitting a fundamental issue here because I think crypto as a whole anyway is, they haven't done, let me not say they haven't done enough, but there's an education issue already on crypto as a whole, right? And we're saying that these gamers are a captive audience for the crypto community and there's an education problem, right, already. Like, how do we explain to them what the advantages are? And so I think that either way.
By doing cool shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll quote Clinton. He says, sell a feeling.
Yeah, you sell a feeling.
There we
You're not
go.
selling a product or a service. You're selling a feeling.
Right.
When you know what your audience wants to feel, then you know how to convince them to do what it is you're trying to get them to do. But you must care enough to know what they want to feel, their needs, not what you want. What do they want? And then once you figure that out, then you're able to sell better on what it is you want them to want.
Right.
I think the irony is no industry has learned more about education than crypto. I mean, at least we don't explain what Bitcoin is anymore, but for the past 5-10 years, we've been going around explaining we're not drug dealers, there's a real use for this.
Yeah.
And it was great to hear the Prime Minister this morning speak. We're excited about what's happening. We just need to take that same education and bring it to gaming.
One point that I want to drive home is if you've come to watch this, congratulate yourself because it is historically proven that new technology adoption in mass has been driven by porn and also video game playing. There's a whole thing. Like when Microsoft Word was out, you don't need a faster computer to run a word processor. People are buying these computers in large scales to play video games and use their Oculus and on all of that stuff. So if a technology like blockchain is going to move quickly into mass adoption, the forefront, video games is a perfect conduit for that opportunity, which is why I can't stress how important it is that the people attending this conference recognize that and really think about how to accomplish that goal. Because once it's in the main thrust of gaming, it becomes ubiquitous. Everyone, it is that critical that it makes its way into gaming. And that's why I get all excited with this panel. There's so much passion about doing that and making it happen. And and I'm, as someone who, I've made maybe 40 AAA video games in my life, Harry Potter, Matrix, all that, Alienverse, all these big titles, I built them. And I understand the technology on that side, and I understand the technology on the crypto side. And I can tell you there is definitely a very clear, straight path for these things to come together. We are not talking about trying to mix oil and water or anything like that. This is a natural thing that is going to happen, needs to happen. And for the people who are attending this conference who want to make a lot of money, this is one of the areas that you should take a close look at And it's not just play to earn. You know, play to earn has wound up getting sort of a stigma attached to it in the gaming space. So if you move away from that terminology, you know, owning is a little bit better than earning. Play to own, right? And then you I own it, now I can make money off it in my own way, whatever. But if you get away from the verbiage and just get to the feeling, I think you're going to see a lot of opportunity for yourself as an investor or as a technologist or even as a video game player who's looking for the latest and greatest, bringing you know, sort of this blockchain stuff into the space.
And on the other side, there's an opportunity for creators versus the content users, right? In creating that transparency, and you know exactly when someone owns something and at what point within the entire blockchain that it's been passed around to. So there's an opportunity there. I'd be interested to hear, Clinton, what have you been seeing from a kind of content creator versus the content user, like where we can also kind of bridge the gap there? I know you had some ideas on that.
I think Paul should start that one.
Bridge the gap between content creators and content. You're up against a really tall brick wall when it comes to ownership of content within gaming, right? So owning that sword, owning that, you're talking about the equivalent of convincing big banks to decentralize, right? This is a monumental effort to convince AAA studios that they need to make all of their items in game not only freely open to trade and buy and sell, but also interoperable between games, right? That is sort of the promise of the metaverse or Web3. But you're talking about fundamentally companies that operate as walled gardens and have very little incentive to open up, like basically no incentive to open up. And if anything we've seen over the last few years, they're becoming more insular. They're shutting down third-party sites that allow trading of items, for example. They want everything to happen within their own marketplaces. I think the impetus for this opening has to come from the players. And the players have to demand it, and for the players to demand it, like the owners of this content, they have to have a reason why it benefits them greatly. Otherwise, gamers, for the most part, are an apathetic crowd, right? Like, as long as they have their game and it's fun, they will complain, but they won't do much, right? It's very vocal, but not a whole lot of doing. And so I think the communicating the benefit is the thing that cracks the big publishers, but I don't see it happening anytime soon. I suspect the opening will come either from the players, a groundswell from the players, or a play-to-earn, for lack of a better word, game that actually succeeds in making a really great game.
I'm going to add to what you said and just say that one of the, full disclosure, of my company, HiDef, we spent a lot of time figuring out and solving specifically these sorts of things because of the products that we haven't announced that we're building and the deals we've done and haven't announced. So I'm cheating a little bit here, but I'll give you a good example of where blockchain sort of can impact ownership, and it can have a significant impact on user-generated content. TikTok is a really good example where you have people creating dances, and someone will take that dance, another TikToker, and who might be more popular, and then actually drive a bunch of views and make money off of that, and the person who created it doesn't get credit. And there's no way, you know, to copyright, you know, like there's a whole process. So here's a good example of where blockchain, you know, where a video game company can partner with an original creator like that, use blockchain, create that attribution, and then actually create an entire smart contract system that can track all of this and make sure that they're paid. And that starts to become really, really meaningful.
Meaning they'll get paid every time someone does the dance?
Yes, there's a way to track that and
like
do
publishing
that.
a song.
Yes, yes. So again, I'm just kind of hinting at some of the stuff that we've big-brained, but the point is the power that exists by bringing blockchain into this space is significant, and it's going to be systemically changing. Because once the users see, to your point, the use case, why it matters to them, they're not going to settle for less.
But Jace, can I maybe this is not a hot take, but I think maybe a hot take. I don't think we have yet stumbled on the killer app for blockchain within gaming.
No, it doesn't.
I don't think we figured it out yet.
No one has made that yet. That's not out there. Yes.
That doesn't exist yet.
That's correct.
Call it challenge or opportunity, whatever you want to look at it.
No,
I don't think anyone has cracked that yet.
Well, it's just like the music business, right? Like, how long have artists been upset that they didn't have access? They couldn't distribute themselves. They couldn't do all those things. Now technology has created a way. You're your own record label from your bedroom. You can literally record your song, mix and master your song, distribute your song, do all the social assets from your bed. You know what I mean? And you can be your own record label now. But it took time to get there.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at with gaming, where these gamers are the artists, and they want to have more control. They want to have more stake. They want to have more ownership in their product and their masters. They want to say if it's going to sink in a TV show.
But it doesn't exist. And you know why? Because who's incentivized to build that? How do they, that's part of the problem is it's like Facebook. They own all the data. They give you a free service, right? And then they own all the data. Why would they be incentivized to build something that lets you own all of your data and then they rent it from you? I don't think so. Like that. So who's going to spend the money to do that? And this is where you get the opportunities for new companies to come into existence that are thinking in an entirely different way about how to create value and opportunity, not only for the company, but for the creators that are inevitably going to be needed beyond just what you can do as a company to create an entire community and build your game around that. So,
well, like music artists, you need enough gamers to make a stink about it for someone to say, all these gamers want this thing. I'm going to go build it. Just like artists were like, I want to distribute my own music. Somebody was smart enough to build a distribution platform.
If you look at the historic model gamers have used, they use engines to develop their games. They don't go out and say, I want to move a person. They use Unity, they use Epic, and that's what we need. We need engines here. When we get pitched on companies that are going to develop a game and create a new blockchain, there's some great blockchains out here that can be used.
Yeah.
That's what they focus on the game, make a great game, and use this technology, and it'll drive everything.
Enough gamers also have to feel like they need this and they want this. Smart people can see the future and say, oh, this should be available for gamers, but just like artists, enough of them were saying, I need this, that someone did it. But that goes back to the beginning of making them understand why they need it or why they want it by making them feel like they need it from doing cool shit that they're going to be like, oh, how do you do that? Oh, well, it's through blockchain. Well, how do I do that? And then they all start typing in everyone, then all of a sudden Rick Fox says, let's start a company like that.
So who's really holding the bag here? Is it the crypto industry or the gaming industry? Because right now it feels like the crypto industry needs the gamers a lot more, right? And the added adoption is going to help crypto at least solve some of the issues that they're facing, right? With transferring over to fiat or doing, these transfers over to fiat. And so I guess my question is, how do you now make this sustainable? It's extremely complex, and we've talked about a lot of complications and implications, but I guess what will you look at to invest at this point, or how are you going to invest at this point with that consideration? And where do you think it is really going to go at that point?
I'll break it down into two parts. I think there's short-term opportunity, which is crypto companies reaching out to gamers as a target-rich audience, right? How do we get new customers? How do we get new users for whatever we're doing in crypto? No better audience to reach than gamers. To me, that's the very short-term opportunity. That's what everyone in this room should be thinking about today. Longer term, it's how do we embed all of the great technology that the crypto industry has built into games, into gaming, into metaverses, and enhance the experience in some way. I say that's long-term because I don't think anyone has figured that out yet, but that's how I would break it down short-term and long-term.
The technology today still needs to be developed for crypto, let alone for gaming. Private keys is not going to work for younger people.
Well, one of the problems is that companies, since we're talking about crypto, you can't expect people to listen when you talk. Instead, you must learn to talk when they're listening. So you must know where they're listening and what they're listening to and how they're listening to it, as opposed to trying to push it through to them in a way that is foreign or they don't understand or don't realize the need or the value of it yet. So it goes back to, and I don't like using the word education, although they got to be educated, but when you use words like that, it's, I don't want to learn. Like, nobody likes school. You know what I mean? I don't want to read a book. You know, a gamer, that's how they're going to think. So when you add into cool shit and you create moments and lifestyle moments and cultural things that these kids are like, oh, that was so cool. Then they're like, how was that done? And it's like, we tricked you. It was through this. You know what I mean? So it's like putting the baby medicine in the food that the baby likes. And that's really the magic of how you infiltrate someone's brain and life. But that's marketing. We can have another panel for that.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, right, these gamers are all about, they're into playing their game, right? And how do you then move on to say, okay, well, why do I care about, how do you get them to care about this other, what I would call like the peripherals, right? Like I'm really into my game, and now you've got the crypto industry trying to get these guys, but they're not an easy catch, right? They're kind of
well, look, I think gamers want to own their stuff. That's for sure. When they get a Counter-Strike skin that's worth $25,000, and then their Steam account gets banned, and they just lose.
Right.
My Counter-Strike inventory is worth like 300 grand. It's my retirement plan.
Yeah.
What it is.
So imagine, like Steam or Valve is just like, you know what? We're just taking that from you. Like you'd be like, excuse me, right? Like that can happen. They can just do that. The terms of service for playing Counter-Strike, it says they can just do that. And I don't think gamers are okay. He would not be happy losing $300,000 worth of rare skins. And so right in there is an opportunity, because gamers want to own what they have worked hard to get with their gameplay. But remember, they did that for the fun. The benefit is that they have this cool collectible. They didn't specifically go in to try to do play to earn. There's a small group of people who do that, but most of them. But if you facilitate the ability for him to make sure he owns it, if he could pull all his skins and put it on a nano ledger, he would. No one's touching that, right? And so I think there are some low-hanging fruit opportunities. I will say this, the large publishers are not going to lead this at all. They're going to follow, and they're going to follow begrudgingly. So if you're an investor in you have the crypto markets, a lot of people have made a lot of money. When they need to put it somewhere, they need to make it work, they need to do something. So find those companies that are making video games, that are forward-thinking, that are making fun, useful product, get behind them, right? And then work with them to bring a real video game product into the market, becomes the killer app that doesn't exist, and then everyone's going to follow, because it's going to happen, and I think it'll happen sooner rather than later.
Without paying attention to it, as you said earlier.
Yeah.
But there's an important insight there, and I know we're running low on time here, but I think I want to get it out here, which is every time you hear Web3 or Metaverse at this conference, I guarantee you, I will put money on the line, I will bet anyone in this room that what we call Web3 or Metaverse 10 years from now will have evolved out of gaming, not out of crypto. It will have started as gaming first, not as crypto first.
Yeah, I agree.
So get familiar with gaming, guys.
So we've got to wrap up now, but any last thoughts in terms of what you're doing and how just give us a last plug before we head out. I'll start
Clinton, please.
Let's start with you, Clinton.
I mean, to add on to what you guys are saying, put more thought into how you're marketing, how you're telling the story, who you're trying to connect with. Do more research on what impact it's going to have, what cultures it's going to talk to, how would it spread. For instance, the reason I started XSET was because I realized being in the gaming space that no other org really understands culture. They think culture is like the newest sneaker drop or a meme, right? They don't really get the world. They don't know how to connect with other cultures and other audiences and demographics and races, genders, right? So it was like, man, if you're going to build this giant company, especially like the company I was at before, you have to understand all these worlds if you want to try to make it inclusive and you want to maximize and reach more people than just what's already there. So we already know who the gamers are, right? This group of gamers, but it's like, what about all the rest of the world that games, but aren't gamers and aren't part of the gaming lifestyle. They might want to be, they might think it's cool, but no one's telling them about it. They don't understand a cool way to connect to it. They don't realize you can make $100,000 playing games a month in Fortnite. They don't know this gaming is a career, right? So it's like just understanding what is the open lane for you to run down, and not just see this as an open lane, understand the correct, impactful way to go down that lane so you don't get tripped up or you don't get tackled, and you're like, this lane sucks. Nah, you just kind of sucked.
All right, we're going to end there. Thank you, guys. This was Gaming and Web3 Collide.
What a way to end.
The end.
Thanks.